My friend invited dead people to his 30th birthday. I felt bad for Michael. I knew he was cool and fun to hang out with once you got to know him. The problem is that it took years to do that, so few did. That's why only a handful of us showed up to his 28th birthday party, and no one showed up to his 29th, besides me, of course. For his 30th, Michael didn't even bother inviting anyone, but he'd made me promise to meet him at his favorite pizza place and then get absolutely plastered afterwards. I didn't drink much those days, but like I said, I felt bad for Michael, so I was willing to make an exception. If that last shot at Casey's Tavern didn't get the job done, the swig we each took from Michael's flask put us over the edge. It is pathetic, right? I mean, your 30th birthday is supposed to be a big deal, right? Where's my party? Where are my friends? He wasn't looking at me when he spoke. It was like he was asking the universe those questions. Mike, I began to speak. Nah, man, don't even try. I know I'm fucked. To be honest though, I would like some friends. Before I could answer, I was startled by the sound of Michael grabbing the fence near us and shaking it. Then he began to shout. What about you guys, huh? The rest of these assholes don't give a shit. Any of you think you can, clear up some time in your schedule? Gotta think you're not too busy, and hey, hanging out with me's gotta at least be better than rotting, getting eaten by worms and shit. Christ, I hadn't quite realized how bad he was feeling. Come on, Mike, let's go back to your place, play some Smash, watch a movie. Mike looked at me. Yeah, sure. And then he turned back to the graveyard before saying, Hear that, new friends? We're heading back to my place. 333 Meadowcrest Drive, apartment 202. No need to knock, just come on in. We'll have a good time. I didn't believe in ghosts or spirits or anything like that, but I still didn't feel like spending my night hanging out at a graveyard. So I pulled him away from the fence, and he reluctantly followed my lead, finishing the walk back to his house. I guess we were officially old because we were both asleep by midnight, passed out on his couch. Our controllers lay uselessly on the floor, while Mario and Samus stared at each other, unmoving on the screen. I woke up to a vigorous tap on my shoulder. Startled, I turned to my right and saw no one. My immediate assumption was that Mike had pulled a childish prank on me. However, turning to my left, I saw he was still fast asleep. Hey, the raspy voice came from behind me. That woke me up. I sprang to my feet and spun to face whoever was speaking. Years earlier, I had visited my brother at med school. He thought it would be fun to show me the cadavers he had been studying. I've never forgotten how they looked. It was so strange. If I picked any one part to focus on, they were clearly the parts of a person. I could look at a hand, a foot, or a nose, but taking in the whole, my mind would not register them as human. They were nothing but lifeless bodies to be studied. They certainly weren't people, and they certainly shouldn't stand or speak, except the thing standing before me that night did exactly that. Where's the booze? It struggled to speak with its swollen tongue and jaw likely suffering from rigor mortis, but the words were clear enough. When I didn't answer, the lifeless man's eyes, bulging out of their sockets, fixed on me angrily. The fear gripped my heart in a vice and held my jaw shut tight. Unable to speak, I shakily reached behind me to grab the bottle of honey whiskey. I nearly knocked it over as I was afraid of what would happen if I took my eyes off the abomination in front of me. "Come on, pal. I need a fucking drink." I felt his skin. When he grabbed the bottle out of my hand, I felt his cold, decomposing skin. He let out a snort. "Honey, I shouldn't be surprised. No offense, but your friend here is kind of a pussy." He continued in a mocking voice. "Will you be my friend? Please. I'm sad and lonely. Christ." It took a swig, then approximated a grin and said, "You probably don't want to drink from this after me. I wasn't exactly healthy when I..." Rather than complete that sentence, he dragged a finger across his throat to indicate he was referring to his own death. When he left the room, my voice returned to me. "Mike, wake the fuck up." His still drunk and half-asleep mind struggled to process what I was telling him. "We need to leave now. Is there another way out besides walking through the kitchen?" Mike looked at me confused and spoke. "What? Why? And why can't we go in the kitchen?" "Jesus, man, there's someone in your house. Forget what I said about him being a fucking reanimated corpse, okay? There's an intruder in your kitchen. We need to leave now." The thing in the kitchen laughed. "You know I can hear you, right?" Just like that, Mike was awake. "There's a fire escape out my bedroom window. Let's go." As we started to move, the man popped his head in from the kitchen. I usually enjoyed the open layout of Mike's apartment, but at that moment, I really wished there was a door between those two rooms. "Fellas, I would not do that if I were you." We ignored him and moved to Mike's bedroom door. As I reached for the knob, the man spoke again. "Don't say I didn't warn you." I hesitated. Mike shouted, "He's fucking with us, man. Let's go." Without turning around, I asked, "Why? What happens if I open this door?" The man laughed. "Then you see what's inside that room." I turned the knob. Mike, with a pleading look, grabbed my wrist to stop me. "Hold on, wait." He slowly placed his ear against the door. After a moment, he looked back at me. His eyes were wide with terror. A single tear rolled down his right cheek. He attempted to speak, but his words were inaudible. "What?" I wasn't able to finish my question before Mike spoke again, too loudly. "Get away from the door, please!" I snapped my hand from the knob and turned to face the man again. He burst out laughing. "Friends, you have got to relax. We're just here to have a good time. As long as we set some boundaries, you should both get through the night relatively unscathed. I get to have some fun back in the world of mortals, and then, I'm sure at some point, whatever wires cross to get me here will uncross, and I'll go back to my eternal rest." From Mike's expression, I knew that whatever was behind that door was more terrifying than the corpse standing before us. Somehow that knowledge made the freak in front of us less scary. My hands were still shaking, and my temples were still throbbing with adrenaline, but I had enough wits about me to speak coherently. "2 questions, I began. "What do you mean we? Who else is coming? And what boundaries?" The thing standing in Mike's living room drank more of our whiskey and spoke again. "I like your friend here, Mike. What did you say your name was?" I didn't. "Well, pal, that's just fucking rude. But lucky for you, I'm in an advice-giving mood today. I already gave you one little morsel of wisdom. Stay out of what used to be Michael's bedroom. My second piece of free advice is clean up your attitude, because most of my friends aren't as kind as I am. You see, I've only been rotting for a few months. I've still got it mostly together up here." He pointed at his head.
Some of my buddies, not so much. I can tell you from experience, the first thing to rot in here," he continued, pointing at his skull, "is morals. Put another way, we're all coming here to have a good time. For me, that means having a few drinks and watching you two piss your pants, scared to find out what happens when you invite a dead guy to your apartment. But there are others, like my friend Ryan, who I happen to know for a fact will be here in about 2.5 minutes. He gets his kicks. Actually, you know what? I think I'll enjoy seeing you learn that one on your own."
Yeah, maybe I should have just told him my name. It's Chris, by the way. This time Mike spoke. "Look, you can have the apartment. Take whatever you want. Have your party."
"Yeah, I'm aware of that."
Mike swallowed. "And we'll just leave. You know, stay out of your way." The man simply laughed, then sat on the couch. He picked up both controllers off the floor, then held one out towards us and asked,
"Who's gonna play with me? I'll warn you, I'm pretty fucking great at this game."
So yeah, I played Super Smash Bros. Against a dead guy. He liked to play as Donkey Kong. Our game was interrupted when we heard the front door open. Even before turning to look, the footsteps told me there was a large group this time. The party had arrived.
"Here, Mikey, take over for me."
The dead man threw his controller at Mike. He struggled but managed to catch it after juggling it a moment. As the not-so-friendly cadaver headed towards Mike's kitchen, he stopped for a moment and placed an arm on Mike's shoulder. Smiling, he pointed at the screen and said,
"Don't let me die."
He laughed as he continued to the kitchen to greet his friends. From the couch, we could hear him exclaim,
"Ryan, so good to see you again, man."
Mike and I looked at each other. I don't know what he was thinking in that moment, but I can say for certain that sitting on that couch, staring at my friend Michael, there was only one thought in my mind. I really need to pick better friends.